What prompted your investigation into Jeffrey Epstein and the donations to the International Peace Institute?
Yeah, so we got a tip last year and about connections between the Norwegian president at IPI, Terje Larsen, and Epstein. And so since September last year, we were looking into that. And then at that point, we found that Epstein had made several donations to IPI through his foundations. And then in the last weeks, we have published some new findings.
This loan was secured by the International Peace Institute after it was well established that he was a convicted pedophile, wasn't it?
Yeah, so Epstein gave donations to IPI between 2011 and 2019, and he was, of course, convicted in 2008.
What was his motivation, do you think?
It's hard for me to say that, but we, of course, know that Epstein gave to several other charities and had kind of this career as a philanthropist in addition to his other dealings.
Now, is it believable that the chair, being Kevin Rudd in this instance, didn't know about this donation until you uncovered it at the end of last year?
I don't think it's up to me to say whether it's believable or not, but what I can say is that we have talked to other members of the board who also say that they did not know of any connection to Epstein. And in addition, we haven't reported any findings that support the idea that the board was informed about any such connection.
Yeah, it goes to governance and structure, I guess, within this organisation. But is it likely the chair and the board perhaps just turned a blind eye because the donation was so significant?
I don't think that's up for me to say. What Mr. Rudd pointed out was that the donation from Mr. Epstein was a small part of the total donations to IPI in this period. However, we have also kind of documented that Epstein had a role in several other IPI projects. For instance, he was playing a central part when they secured quite a big support from the Gates Foundation in 2013.
Now, this can't just be brushed aside, and perhaps some of our viewers, Gard, are thinking, well, why is this so significant? He gave to so many organisations. But we know that Epstein's money and influence allowed him to keep offending because other powerful people essentially stayed silent, didn't they?
Yeah, and then there have been victims of Epstein who have said that kind of the powerful people he surrounded himself with made it kind of appear like there wasn't much bad happening.
Yeah, and that's right. And that's what money, power and influence does. Now, throughout your investigation, were you able to kind of ascertain whether this was Epstein's motivation, that he really knew how to play in these circles of the rich and powerful, and therefore he gave so many millions of dollars in donations to various charities and institutes? Or did he have, this big philanthropic bone in his body?
Yeah, I think it's hard for me to know what his motivations were, but we have seen that Epstein's foundation kind of strategically used prestigious names like Harvard, like IPI, to connect him to them after his 2008 conviction. That's a kind of a fact.
In 2020, I mean, an institution like the International Peace Institute should really have better checks and balances in place, shouldn't they, to see where these donations are coming from?
Yeah, well, one of the measures that came last year was they kind of implemented this stronger policy with regards to who they receive gifts from. So, yeah, due to that, we can say that the board at least concluded last year that they should have stronger measures with regards to who they receive their money from.
Yeah, I mean, it's in Mr. Rudd's response, you've seen him come out strongly saying he knew nothing about it until late 2019, but he's only made these effusive public statements now. From newspapers like yours, really, you only see these kind of things come to light when they're exposed in such a way. Do you think perhaps the chair in Kevin Rudd and the board should have come forward earlier rather than waiting till it was exposed by the media?
They did do some things last year, and then kind of what they're saying is that this new stronger reaction is due to our more recent reporting, which, among other things, showed that the president, again, this Norwegian diplomat named Terje Larsen, had a debt of $130,000 to Epstein at one point in 2013.
It's interesting what motivates people, and particularly when it comes to money as well. Just finally, Gard, can I ask you, in your experience and looking at this story in particular, what kind of ramifications are there for the individuals involved? Do they risk reputational damage? I'm talking about Kevin Rudd and other members of the board here.
Yeah, so I think what we've seen quite a lot with people who have these ties to Epstein is that, you know, many people have said that, okay, they socialized with him or had the ties to him after his conviction in 2008, and that they've kind of had to apologize. And yeah, for instance, we've seen, you know, Leon Black, the US billionaire, has apologized several times. Now Mr. Rudd comes with this strong reaction. So there's kind of this pattern of people who had these relationships with Epstein after his conviction who kind of have to, yeah, apologize and suffer with regards to their reputation.